Welcome to the Linear Access Product Overview. My name is Paul Jones. I'm a technical trainer, and I'll be performing this presentation. That takes us to commercial telephone entry. The AE100 is a commercial telephone entry system. He will hold 125 directory codes or entry codes. If I give somebody a directory code, I have to give them an entry code, which means if I gave someone a directory code with an entry code, I have 124 left available. If I decided to give a person just an entry code, I would have 123 left available. Every time I input program in a directory code or just an entry code, I use one of those slots. So I have 125 slots available. I can share a telephone line with the AE100 as all the programming is done on the keypad on the front. There is no software with the AE100. If I chose to put, for an example, two AE100s on a shared telephone line and I program unit number 1, with a simple command, I can just take that data information from unit number 1 and send it to number 2. That's what single point update means. I can program it on the keypad, or I could program it with a touchtone telephone. We at Linear invoke load shedding with the AE100, and here's how load shedding works. The AE100 will charge a backup battery. What we do with load shedding is we never let that battery go completely flat. If the AE100 loses power, we let that battery power go down to a certain level and we cut it off. By never letting it go flat, you will get a lot more life out of your batteries than if you let it go completely flat and try to charge it again. The AE100 is ADA compliant. It does have a TTY jack for the hearing impaired on the front. The AE100 does have voice greetings in programmable English, Spanish, French, or Portuguese. It does have a manual access relay operation, which means the AE100 does not know the time or date. It does not have clock and calendar, but it does have a counter. For an example, if I chose to do so, I could call up the AE100 with my telephone and with a simple command tell the AE100 to fire its single relay for 8 hours. And the AE100 will fire the relay and count 8 hours and then release its relay. Its optional camera is color and it is UL listed. The AE500 would be the next step up from the AE100. The AE500 will hold 250 users. It comes with 2 onboard Form C relays, and it has a built-in receiver, and it will hold 1,000 transmitters. It will also hold 500 entry codes. It has inputs for request to exit, inputs for door sense, a postal switch option in the front. If I chose to do so, I could put an optional keypad and AMKP on it to fire relay number 2. It has a built-in modem, and its programming is accomplished via telephone, on the front, or through the remote computer, which is browser-based, much like the residential. The AM3 Plus is a 4-door access control. We have 4 Form C relays, 4 door contact sensing inputs, 4 request to exits, an optional modem. Keep in mind, it's a 4 relay unit. If I decide to bring my door contacts back to the AM3, I need something to happen if somebody breaks through that door. So I would have to associate a second relay with that door. Basically, if I'm bringing door contacts back to the AM3, it is not a 4-door unit, it is a 2-door unit. I have 1 relay for the lock, the second relay for the door contact, 3rd relay for the lock, 4th relay for the door contact. It does have an RS-232 communications port. It does have an onboard clock and calendar circuit, if there's no the time and the date. It has 2 weekend inputs. We also offer linear P-bus support. Linear P-bus is Linear's communication protocol. Remember, I have 4 relays on this unit. If I need to put more than 2 card readers, because I do have 2 weekend inputs on it, I would need to install a linear AM-CRI card reader interface that does nothing more than converts Wiegand into P-bus so I can wire it into the P-bus inputs. The AM3 will charge a backup battery. It is completely computer programmable. I can have up to 10,000 users, 20,000 entry codes, 45,600 block-coded transmitters, or 20,000 individual, 45,600 block-coded cards, or 20,000 individual, 32 validation groups. And a validation group is basically an access level. Within every validation group, I have two things: a time zone, which time of day I'm going to let someone through that door, and a door schedule, which door we're referring to. So within every validation group, I have a door schedule and a time zone. I can have 32 different validation groups. The AM3 does have an event log. It will hold the last 20,000 events, FIFO, first in, first out. We offer 3 different programming options with the AM3 Plus. The Access-based 2000 software is free. It comes with it. We also have Actnet browser-based programming. The difference between the two is Access-based basically is loaded onto a computer, and that database is shared between that computer and that panel. When I'm using Access-based, I pretty much need to use the same computer all the time to program. If I can't do that, I can switch that AM3 Plus over to Actnet browser-based. And browser-based means the database is being held within the panel. 2 main things to remember about Access-based and Actnet. Access-based, I have the luxury of having a hard drive to hold all my information. So with Access-based, I can have up to 10,000 users. If I chose to use Actnet, where all the database is being held in the panel, I have 2,000 users. If I'm going to exceed 2,000 users, I'm not a candidate for Actnet. I must use Access-based. Also, Access-based, I can have up to 64 different Plus panels. And we make the AM3 Plus, access control, 1000 Plus, telephone entry, 2000 Plus, telephone entry, and I can mix and match those on an installation any way I see fit. I can have up to 64 different panels using Access-based. Actnet, I can have up to 4 Plus panels on an installation. If I'm going to have more than 4 panels, I am not a candidate for Actnet. We also offer local programming. Local programming is used just for new construction. For example, there is no computer out of the job yet. There are no telephone lines. Here's how this works. I can go into local programming, program in entry codes, cards, time zones, whatever I need to. The first time any software package, Access-based or Actnet, connects to that panel, it erases whatever was programmed in there locally, because now I'm using software to program. What we did is we took the AM3 Plus and basically just built telephone entry around it. If you understand the AM3 Plus, then you understand the AE1000 Plus. It has the same inputs, same outputs, same software packages as the AM3 Plus. We just added telephone entry to it. It does have a built-in radio receiver, a built-in modem, a halo-lit keypad, an optional color camera, and it programs exactly the same way as the AM3 Plus, Access-based or Actnet. 4 relays, same amount of relays, same inputs, same outputs. The next step up is the 2000 Plus. The 2000 Plus has the same features as the 1000 Plus with the following upgrades: a temperature-compensated backlit VGA resolution LCD display. It will try to adjust the contrast depending on if the sun is shining directly upon it, trying to wash it out. The 2000 Plus, I can present 24 residents at one time on the screen. Also, if I hold down one of these 2 buttons here, I will see the alphabet appear upon the top, and I can just scroll across, as an example, to the J's, and everybody's last name who ends with J will appear on that screen. I can get people through a gate much quicker with the 2000 Plus than with most telephone entry units. It does have an audible voice that can prompt you through directory in English or in Spanish. The 2000 Plus has articulated hinges, which means I have 2 locks on the front of the unit. When I pop both those locks, the front panel comes out and then opens. The reason being, when it is flush mounted, it is exactly flush mounted against the wall. And it programs exactly the same as the AM3 Plus, 1000 Plus, and the 2000 Plus. They all use the same software packages. These are the remote devices we can put on the AM3 Plus, 1000 Plus, 2000 Plus. Our keypad. Remember, AM stands for access management. So if a keypad starts with AM, it's going to wire back to a head-end unit of some sort. We can use the AMKP or the interior AMKPI. AMPR is our card reader, AMPC are our cards, AMPT are our tags. These are 26-bit Wiegand cards and tags. The card reader interface that I talked about briefly converts Wiegand into P-bus, which is Linear Communication Protocol. The different receivers we can wire to these units. AMRRR is remote radio receiver if I need to extend the receiver out past the range of the onboard receiver. RGR, remote Genie receiver. If this installation is already using Genie transmitters, then this will convert Genie speak over into linear speak, and we can program into the panel. The RPR works just like a card reader, only with transmitters. It has, for example, a 2-inch read range, so I present my transmitter to it, activate the button, and it will activate the appropriate relay. Our Wiegand output receiver. What it does is it converts megacode transmitters to 2630 or 31-bit Wiegand. For an example, if I wanted to use transmitters on another vendor's panel and they have Wiegand inputs, I could wire in the WOR and it would convert that transmitter code into 2630 or 31-bit Wiegand, and I can use transmitters. It will run off 5-volt DC or jumper selectable 8 to 24-volt DC. Extended range antennas. We make the EXA2000, which is a directional antenna, or the EXA1000, which is an omnidirectional antenna. If I needed to get more range, these are spec'd to give you 25% more range than what you originally had. Once again, the differences between Access-Based 2000 and Actnet. When I'm using Access-Based 2000, the database is being shared between the panel and the computer. I pretty much need to use the same computer all the time. Actnet, the data is stored in the panel. I can make changes from any computer that has a dial-up connection and browser capability. Access-Based, 64 panels, Actnet, 4 panels. Access-Based, 10,000 cardholders, Actnet, 2,000. There are some differences between Access-Based. I can have 45,600 cards total, Actnet, 38,000. Cards for Access-Based, 20,000, Actnet, 2,000. 45,000 total transmitters with Access-Based, 38,400 total with Actnet. 20,000 individual transmitters Access-Based, 2,000 Actnet. 20,000 entry codes Access-Based, 2,000 with Actnet. 10,000 cardholders Access-Based, 2,000 Actnet. 10,000 event log entries per unit with Access-Based, 2,500 event log entries with Actnet. That concludes the product line linear access overview. My name is Paul Jones. Thank you. Have a great day.